Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing. I'm your host for this morning, Blair Malloy. We've given Derek the morning off today. I'm joined today by Stevie Clifford of Four Lads Had a Dream. Stevie, how are you getting on? How are you enjoying the international break? How do you find these times being away from Rangers for a couple of weeks?
I'm not sure I enjoy them, to be honest, especially when we're winning and getting a decent result on Sunday. I would rather the games came thick and fast, but yeah. Sometimes it's good for players to come back from injury, players to get time together and stuff like that. But the way we've been playing and the need to kind of claw points back and things, I would rather games just came thick and fast. And I'm not sure I enjoy it as such, Blair. As I said, especially when we've had a couple of decent domestic results, so you just want more and more to try and eat into that lead at the top.
We do have this little bit of a break. Do you think this is maybe a time for Danny Rohl to get his teeth into a couple of the players that will maybe be here, not on international duty, and maybe just having this little bit extra time, just lets him imprint his coaching ideas a little bit more?
Yeah, we certainly hope so. I think that's a reasonable want, especially for us and given where we've been. I think that's all what we would want. It's so difficult for him because he goes from game to recovery to game to recovery. From a coaching point of view, that's not ideal. From our point of view, it's great. But from our point of view, as supporters, we would want to see him try and put his point across, try and get some valuable training time and try and get some new standards and things in there. So that's what we want to do, absolutely.
We do apologise for some technical difficulties this morning we're having, folks. I know we're a little bit later than usual, but the technical gremlins that sometimes plague the Rangers Review have been playing up this morning. Just a word for our podcast sponsors, Willow Fencing, the Glasgow-based fencing company you can trust. If you want 10% off, just follow the link in the bio and have a little look at the ticker below. Definitely the places to go if you want your fence repaired during this stormy weather season. So, Stevie, you wrote a piece for the website this morning talking about Danny Röhl, how he's settled in at Rangers, how he's managed to build this rapport with the fans so far. Some of the scenes at the end of the Dundee game, he was really going over, really getting into it with the fans. Is that just indicative of them coming together and really starting to be on the same page?
I think it's cultural for him. When you look at Jurgen Klopp, when you look at that kind of behaviour before, I think it's natural for him to do that. I also think that when he comes into the press room and shakes people's hands and stuff like that, I think that's all cultural for him. And I don't mind it in the slightest. I understand it. I'm not sure it's what I would really do this early, but I understand why he's doing it. And I think he's trying to forge a relationship. So I understand it completely. I understand where he's coming from. But I'm a bit more old-fashioned, if you like. I would probably leave it until we're winning things and we're doing things. And people have said to me, "Oh, you've been listening to Chris Boyd too much," because he was moaning about it on Sunday. I didn't hear Chris Boyd on Sunday, so I've not heard what Chris had to say. But I felt a wee bit like that last year when Clement went to the fans at Hampden and did the kind of celebrations with the fans and that. Then I understand it and I understand what they're trying to do and I get the togetherness and things like that. I just wouldn't have done it. With regards to where he is with the fans and the piece I wrote this morning and things like that, is I think the fans are really desperate for Danny Röhl to do well, and I think they're desperate to go with him. I think they're desperate to follow him, but I think the only thing that's going to do that is winning, and getting results. So with that, he just needs to keep winning. As basic as it sounds, the fans already want him to do well. He's not Russell Martin, so we're already ahead of where we were in terms of fans' feelings towards him. So he just needs to win, and these things will naturally come. And I spoke to people who were there on Sunday, and they said it was a good thing. So my opinion is only that. And if he keeps winning and keeps building that kind of momentum with the support, then it's not going to matter what I think or anybody else.
Yeah, it was certainly notable on Sunday that his name was sung all the way through that first half, and I think Chris makes a point here that I kind of agree with. Can't really moan about Danny's interacting with the fans. That relationship was gubbed. It needs fixing, and can't complain when he's trying to do that. I think that Danny Röhl, for me, has came in here. He's seen how fractured that relationship is with the fans, and as we've said before, Rangers, when the fans are on your side, and when things are going well, it's the best place to play in the world. When it's not going well and the fans start to turn against you, it can be unbelievably difficult for players of all stature, players that come in from all over the world. You see that they can't handle playing in that atmosphere when it turns against them. So I think Danny Rowe's been very very clever in the way that he approached this job. I said before that if you're a Rangers manager, you can do small things. You can make incremental gains to get the fans on your side. Things that Russell Martin never really did, never really took to heart. I mean, we've talked about the suit thing, we've done that to death, but just little things like that, going over and speaking to the fans in Bergen and just slowly but surely ingratiating himself with the Rangers support. And he understands, or it seems to me that he understands, that having the fans on side is almost as important as having the good players, because he needs to get them working like part of his starting 11.
Yeah, look, I think that's a fair point. Like, I don't want to come across as being negative, because I spoke about this quite a bit on my own podcast on Monday night. Like, I want Danny Röhl to do well. I like him. I find it quite personable. I think he's kind of endeared himself to all of us, and we all want him to do well. It's just I understand it's a cultural thing and understand where he's coming from. So I don't want it to become a negative. It just wouldn't be where I am. But I understand what he's trying to do. I think he is. He's obviously probably working on a feeling that he wasn't first choice in the eyes of many. And he's kind of working to solve that and force that kind of relationship. So I understand it. I'm okay with it. Not that he needs my permission, may I add, but I understand what he's trying to do. I do really like him. I hope he does well. Everybody wants him to do well. Always want, the head coach and things to do well. So I have no issue with it. It's just a bit different, isn't it? And it becomes something, another talking point, I suppose, for us and people to get their teeth into. But I do think he's went about things the right way when it comes to addressing the support, taking on board the kind of traditions with his dress sense and stuff like that. I think he's said and done all the right things. I certainly believe he's acted that way. I think he's taken the job on with a full understanding of it in the position we're in. So I don't think he's underestimated things. I don't think he's spoken out of turn. I don't think he's done any of that. So from as far as Danny Röhl himself goes, so far it's been pass marks for me completely. Europe, I understand he's in a bit of a bind with that, because results in Europe are a difficult place for us at the moment. But domestically in the league, I think he's done absolutely fine. In the semi-final, we didn't do well. We didn't perform the best we could, but he still manages to, with 10 men, help get us back in with some formation changes and things like that. So so far from me, Danny Röhl, he said and done all the right things, and there's not I don't want it to become a criticism, because I've said that I'm not sure about how he done it. I understand it. I understand what he's trying to do. I'm just saying it's maybe not my idea, so it's certainly not a criticism from me of him. I would dearly love to be sitting here in a year's time and he's doing those sort of things, and we're on a crest of a wave form-wise led by Danny Rohl. So let's just hope it is that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things for me, in terms of Danny Röhl coming in here, I think before he was appointed, when there was all the chat about Steven Gerrard, when there was all the chat about Kevin Muscat, and I think there was a sort of lukewarm reaction to Danny Röhl when he was initially linked with the job. It was maybe not the most popular choice, maybe not the big sexy name that a lot of fans were after. But what he has done is he's managed to come in and incredibly quickly has managed to get the fans on side. He has managed to almost negate that idea that anybody didn't want him in the first place. Because I'm quite surprised at just how quickly the wave of fan support has become on side for the new manager. And spoken to him a couple of times now. I really like him. I think he's like a really switched on guy, a really down to earth guy, and someone that you can see as has his feet in the ground, has his ideas clear in his head, and he knows what he wants to try and do with this team. But I just think the way that he's managed to come in and he's managed to turn the tide of public opinion so drastically, and Rangers fans were always going to give him a chance. I think this narrative that Rangers fans are too stubborn to give anyone that they don't know a chance, I just don't think that's true. I think the fans will always give them a chance as long as they're winning games, as long as they're showing things that are more positive on the park. But I think the speed at which the fans have bought into him and the good feeling has seemed to have turned back around Ibrox is incredible, really. And like you said in your piece this morning, that just comes from winning games, winning league games in a row. All of a sudden, you're looking not to tempt fate. You're looking at the next two potentially in the league. All of a sudden, you could be 5 league wins in a row, and that is exactly what the new manager is looking to do, and that's exactly how you get the fans on side quickly.
I think part of the reason why Danny Rohl was why there was, I don't know, a section of kind of, let's say, worry amongst the support when it comes to him is because of Russell Martin. There's no point in trying to mix it, and they're not similar, but it's the background and where they came from and things like that people were immediately worried, and I can understand it completely because I felt the same. I don't think they're similar managers. I don't think they're similar head coaches or styles or anything like that, thankfully. But I think the damage that Russell Martin done to this football club in such a short space of time is why everybody was wary. So I understand it completely. And from that point of view, that's maybe the backdrop that he faced. But I think heading into January, I talked about it. I don't really want to start thinking about 5, 6, 7, 8 games and everything else. I think it's just important that we take every game, one game at a time, especially given how I think this squad is and the things I've said about them in the past. So I don't look any further than the very next game. And for that, we've just got to keep trying to do what we've done on Sunday. Professional outlook on it all, controlling the possession, controlling the games as much as possible. So although it wasn't perfect, it was a lot better than what it's been like previously. He's came in to a team, Blair, remember, that we're shedding 5, 6 clear opportunities every single game. We're 20, 30 shots at in some games as well. And he's immediately fixed that, which is small, but he's gradually returning confidence to players that were absolutely shattered by previous regimes and stuff. So, he's nothing he's done is spectacular. We've had good wins in the league, and equally Europe has been quite a bit away, and we didn't manage to get through the cup. So it's been a mixed bag. It's probably been the least we can expect, but in many ways, given what he's inherited, I think that's harder than, or deserves more credit than saying the least we could have expected, because let's be honest, we were on our backsides when he came in. Performances were horrible, so many chances, so many bad performances individually and collectively that, only I think one win in the league when he came in as well. So he's had to go about and try and fix that immediately, and he has done quickly, and he's tried other things and he's tried new things. So it's one of these ones. I don't want to look too far ahead, and what I said in the article rings true as well. We've got to get to January in some way intact, Blair, and where we've not lost any more ground, and keep trying to chop away at people. Now, we play Hearts, and Celtic play Hearts, and Celtic play Hibs and stuff. So things have got to give from those above us. So we've got to make sure that we just keep winning and keep chopping away at those above us. And if we can get to January in a place where we can be in a much better place than when we were, we've got to be comfortable with that and happy with that. And the problem with that at the same time is we're all looking at January as being this kind of, opportunity to fix things. It's traditionally a very difficult window. And not only is it very difficult, look at the people who are orchestrating it, which the fans have zero faith in either. So January is what we're all looking for, but I'm not sure that, it's the answer to everything unless they quickly change what they've been trying to do. So Danny Rohl's immediate goals is trying to get to January with that intact, and then hope that he can work and have a big say in who's coming in, hope that he's got an idea of the players we need, and hope that he's got an eye for them and that he's allowed a significant say. So if you're to believe what Kevin Fairwell and Patrick Stewart and things have said in the past, then it's ultimately down to the manager. And Russell Martin had a big say in the summer recruitment, more than a big say. He orchestrated quite a few of them. So if that's the case, we can look forward to Danny Röhl being able to imprint some of his players in January, and hopefully he knows exactly where we're going to go and what he needs and what we're going to get. And I'm sure, with his coaching experience at levels he's had, Bayern, Germany, etc., then he's going to know, Blair, exactly what we need. And it doesn't take a genius, to look at that Rangers team and understand what it's missing and what it's needing. And the hope is, and I said it in the article this morning, maybe it's fantasy, but the hope is that 2 or 3 players can really improve that spine, the team, improve the starting 11, improve the players around them, and then take it from there, because that's got to be the goal for us. January is a difficult window, but you could make significant strides in it and start planning further ahead for summer and things like that. So, bit of a long-winded answer. That's kind of where I'm taking it and what the article's about this morning and what we have to try and focus on, I think.
Just on that, following off your point there, Gaz, give Roll time and the right backing, and he may turn out to be a masterstroke of an appointment. And I think just following on from what you were saying there, it's imperative for Danny Rohl that he gets the backing in January, that he gets some sort of financial muscle behind him in January to start getting his own players. I think my own take on this is that the fact that he's making so many in-game substitutions, the fact that we're seeing so many players getting time on the park, I just think he is trying to test out everything that he's got at his disposal. I think he's trying to just have a wee look at as much of it as he can and show himself, the owners, the fans, look, this is what I'm working with. This is everything that I have here. And he's just trying to give everybody a bit of an audition to see, okay, look, are you good enough to play in my team going forward? Can you do a job for me? Maybe not particularly where you were before. You look at Mikey Moore, he was getting stuck out on the wing under Russell Martin. Danny Rohl's came in, completely changed his position altogether, moved him more inside, and all of a sudden, he looks like a player who's going to be vital for Rangers this year if they're going to achieve anything. And I think Alan puts out here, Thelwell had Danny Rohl interviewed and preferred Martin. How much has that cost us if Rohl was in from the start? And I mean, it's tricky not to look back at the start of this season in hindsight and look back with regret at the fact that Russell Martin was given so much power, was given the keys to the castle at the beginning of the year, and we all knew from a very early stage that wasn't going to work out. But the fact that Danny Röhl is in now, he's got his feet under the table. I still think there is a lot to play for this season. I don't think anything is done by a long chalk, but I do agree that in January it's going to be vital that he is backed and he can actually find where he wants to improve this team. And hopefully after these few games where we've seen a lot of different formations, a lot of different personnel, he now has an idea of what parts of his team go, okay, we desperately need to improve in there.
Yeah, I'm kind of the opinion that I'm refusing to let myself get too carried away in regards to the season. I just want to take it one game at a time and see where we are. On paper, I think, who is it next? We've got Livy, Falkirk, Kilmarnock away, Hibs at home. I think that's the run. And then we go to Hearts away, potentially. That's the kind of form that we have, coupled by a couple of European games, Braga and Ferencváros. So for me, it's just a game at a time. I don't think I can trust this squad enough that I can say for certain, yeah, we'll definitely beat Livy, we'll definitely beat Falkirk, we'll definitely beat Hibs or whoever. I think it's just game at a time, for me, certainly. And with getting to January, if you can get to January, Blair, having strung together a consecutive period of winning results, we're going to cut the gap. That will happen without even having to worry, because we will have beaten Hearts. Hearts and Celtic will take points off each other. Hibs and Celtic will take points off each other either way. So we are going to eat into those who are above us naturally. So we just need to concentrate on ourselves. So in question, in answer to your kind of statement of, you don't think the season's done, I would love to say that I don't think the season's done, but there's part of me that just wants to take it a game at a time. We're never going to fully turn the corner until we properly do it. And we've been on the verge of doing it too many times, not under Danny Rohl, but in recent seasons, it seems like, well, there's an opportunity there. And as soon as we get it, we don't take it. So I'm just taking one game at a time, trying to remain positive with that kind of outlook on it, trying to remain positive with the point of view of, well, yes, there's stuff to play for here, but it's only if Rangers affect it. Because, there's no point in us saying, well, these teams above us will do this, that, and everything else if we don't win what's in front of us as well. So we need to just concentrate on us take it game by game. Danny Röhl, keep trying to find the form for the likes of Mikey Moore. Can he get something out of Oliver Antman? Can he get something out of Telo Asgard? Can he help Chermiti? Can he help Bojan Majowski? If you can start the marginal gains and get to January in a position of strength, and let's be honest, it is a position of strength considering where we were, Blair, and what we were looking at. If we can do that, then yeah, I think we should all be in a better frame of mind and a better vantage point than we are at this moment. But again, it's down to Rangers, it's down to the squad, it's down to the players and individuals, and the rest all come together. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Some people agreeing with you. Stevie keeps himself grounded with his thoughts, and I think that's sensible at the minute, especially with where we've been over the years. I think, Rangers fans have been burned before over the past few years with what's going on, and it's you don't want to jump in and think that the better days are coming just round the corner until you actually get the proof in the pudding, until you actually see what is transpiring on the park. Interesting point here from Stephen. My concern is January is a tough window to do business, but he needs at least 6 starters, a whole spine. If Raskin doesn't sign a new deal, he's gone in January too. What do you make of that, Stevie? Nico Raskin, he's been a player that has been up and down this season. I think it's fair to say he's not been without a fair share of controversy over the past 5 months or so. If that contract situation doesn't resolve itself, do you see him leaving the club sooner rather than later?
I'm not sure Nico would want to. First point of all. Second being, if Rangers want Nico Raskin to sign a contract, they're going to have to offer him one. So there's no point in people saying that if he doesn't sign a contract, it's got to be there, which it isn't. So Rangers need to do that. John Souttar's of the same opinion as well. What happens if John Souttar gets a $500,000 bid for him in January? Are we letting him go? And as much as we might not rate John Souttar every week, John Souttar's pretty vital to that defence at this moment in time. So there's lots of questions there which Rangers need to act upon and go and try and fix. Nico Raskin falls into it as much as anybody else does. I think Nico, somebody I wrote about this morning, I think Nico's by far our best player, but his form has dipped. And when you consider what he went through with Russell Martin, who basically tried to force him out of the club, and the form that others have been in, it's not helped him, and he's probably not helped himself by being up and down and gone through a lot as well. I think that the midfield isn't balanced enough for Nico to play in, and I put Mo Diamandi in that as well. I think both of them would thrive with a proper 6, which Joe Rothwell was maybe brought in to do but by Russell Martin and just not capable. So there's a lot of moving components to this team, Blair. Could a 6 help that midfield? Could a left-back experienced help Gassama with his form? Could a proper experienced striker help Bojan Majowski, Danilo, Chermiti next to them? There's lots of components to this, and I don't think the squad has the experience and the leadership through it to be able to help other players. So, we've seen players being put into systems and teams where they are good players, but they can't affect games and they cannot help the team because they just don't have others around them. And no matter how good you are, if you've not got anything around you, it's going to naturally bring you down. So January, I would agree, I've said that a couple of times already this morning, is a really tough window. I don't think 6 in January is possible. Financially, I don't think we have that. I think we've got scope to do some wheeling and dealing. It wouldn't surprise me if players left on loan. That's maybe what Danny Rohl's looking at. Who can, of the guys that come in, Asgard, Chermiti, Antman, etc. If he decides that he can't get anything out of them, if he decides that they're not in his system, then they'll have to be moved on. And while there's still value to them, and while relatively you could get away with just saying they didn't fit in at the club, the more they stagnate at Rangers, the more difficult it's going to be to move them on. So he's maybe looking at it from that point of view with regards to playing them as much as he can at the moment, to your earlier point, Blair. But with January, I would settle for 3, and there would need to be 3 that worked. If you can get 3 in the middle of that team, centre-back, centre midfield, maybe somebody at left-back, couple in the spine and left-back, I would love 6, but I would settle for 3 key additions that would make the world of difference to this team. And I think it's maybe it's as simplistic as that. And I hope it is, because if you can get that and you can get that leadership throughout the team, then and get to January in a position where we're still in things, then that's got to be the dream outcome. But as I said, it's that's a wee bit far away at the distance at the moment. We've got tough games. We need to just take it a game at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Rangers man 55 agrees with you. I think we should all be a lot happier that we have a pragmatic man who's building wins. Let's take it game by game and not get carried away. Just enjoy the wins on their own for now. And I think that's something that is just a bit of a broader point. It's really been missing for a long time amongst the Rangers support. Just being able to turn up to games. And one of my colleagues was saying the other day that Danny Rohl strikes him as the kind of guy who will win the games he's supposed to win. And the Rangers will turn up and they'll beat the teams that you expect the Rangers to beat again. And that seems to be what he's managing to build here. And that is always a great footing for any Rangers manager to come in and win the games that you turn up to Ibrox, you go to an away game with respect to these opponents, you think, okay, this should be an easy one today, this should be straightforward, and just building them on top of each other, those straightforward wins, just leaving the game with your mates, going into the pub afterwards, not talking about where it's went wrong, not talking about where Rangers dropped off, just being able to talk about a 2-0 and just having that stress taken off your shoulders. I think Danny Röhl doing that it goes such a long way to building that aforementioned rapport with the fans. And it's been a long time since Rangers fans have managed to just enjoy these wins, these bog standard wins. And I think that's bringing a little bit of the joy back to supporting Rangers again.
Yeah, 100%. I think when you look at Sunday's victory at Dens Park, what Rangers done well, 2 quick goals, controlled the game largely. I don't remember Dundee having any real efforts in the first half. Second half, they swapped it about a bit. Asgard and Raskin, really good efforts. Poop should probably have had a third goal in the first half as well. It was a professional performance. Did that be a Dundee had a wee goal when Danda and Simon Murray come on? A couple of efforts, but they were comfortable efforts. It's not like they ever sliced us apart at any points. And then Rangers, upped it again, and they created another couple of chances before Gassama rounded it off. I would call it professional. I'll call it a thoroughly professional display. And you consider the run of games they've had when they went to Kelly, Easter Road, Celtic in the Cup, Roma, and then to go to Dundee. I think they've done extremely well at Dens Park. It's not enough where you start doing cartwheels and saying, everything's wonderful. But what it is, I think, is a thoroughly professional performance, the way they done it. And if we can get that level from Danny Rohl, if he can, say, for example, the next couple of games, we get that same level of performance. And I'm not going to say it's easy, but the Rangers, have got a habit and have had a habit of overcomplicating things. If they can simplify games and make them routine, and that's not meaning to be disrespectful, I don't think we're in a position to say that about anything. But if Danny Rohl can suddenly do that, then you're getting to that level again, Blair, where you can comfortably say that, yeah, he's expected to do the things that you're expected to do, and we take that for granted. But if you look at previous, Russell Martin, for example, wasn't even capable of that. So, as I said, we'll remain grounded as much as possible in that. I don't fully trust this squad, but I want Danny Röhl to do well. If he can get more results like Sunday and more performances and more level of, just turning up and doing what we think they can do and doing it not with ease, because that's not correct, but comfortably, then yeah, the support will follow and will galvanise, because they'll think if he's doing that, and I'll think if he's doing that, then if he gets the right tools and he's allowed to bring in what he wants, then surely we can expect him to keep going up in levels.
Yeah, David making the point here. Roll finally get a solid 2 weeks with the majority of the squad, or those that are left for international duty anyway. I'd expect further improvement, and I think that is something that Rangers fans will be feeling optimistic about this morning. The fact that it's definitely going in the right direction under Danny Röhl, and I definitely don't think we've seen anywhere near the ceiling of what Danny Röhl is going to offer at Rangers. I think there is so much more scope for what he can bring to this team, and I think it's an exciting time. I know don't want to get carried away with ourselves, but I definitely think that he has shown that he does have. He looks like a right fit for the club, and it looks like he has a lot of good ideas that are slowly but surely improving this team where his predecessor couldn't. A few in the comments asking about the potential new coach coming in, the Rangers man sort of element to this coaching staff. As far as we know, this will be sorted by this international window. This is what Danny Röhl said before. He said the latest he wanted someone in by this international window. So over the next 2 weeks, we may see someone coming in, someone with ties to the club, someone previously played for the club. Stevie, I don't know if you've been on talking about it before. Do you have a personal preference for that role, or would you just like to see something done up as soon as possible so we can maybe move on from that discussion?
It would probably wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if Stevie Smith kept it and made the move from under-19s to the first team permanent. There's a lot to like about Stevie Smith. I think that he's a great character, understands the club, understands what's required. I think he thinks about football the same way that Danny Rohl might, in terms of attacking and wanting to play in a certain way. So it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if Stevie Smith kept that role. If I was to be asked outside the box who I would think of, then I think there's a few obvious candidates. When you look at Neil McCann, Stephen Davis, Kevin Thompson, Maurice Ross types, then they would all come into your thinking. But ultimately, it's going to depend on Danny Röhl. If you remember, Russell Martin was supposed to get a local coach in. There was a lot of talk at the time about Stephen Naismith. There was a lot of talk at the time about, others. Potentially Maurice Ross was heavily mentioned. That never really materialised. Could it be that we're in a similar position where we just decide that Stevie Smith's the best fit and he decides a chance? We're going to have to wait and see. I don't think it's the massive game changer that perhaps it's made out to be. We've had Alex Ray, we've had others in there that have supposedly been doing that job. I'm not sure it's the magic wand that is quite painted out to be. The coach that comes in, if one does come in, should be the best fit for the club and best candidate for the position regardless. So I'm quite relaxed about it, Blair. I don't think it's a massive necessity, and I'm just willing to wait and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that'll do us for this morning. Stevie, thanks very much for joining us. I hope you enjoy the international break. Hope you enjoy a little bit of time away from watching Rangers and take up some other pursuits. To everyone else, thanks for watching and thanks for listening. And of course, stay across all of the Rangers Review social media channels. We bring you all the latest Rangers news first. Thanks very much. See you later.